In this video, we're going to talk about the responsive menu in Webflow. Now, this is going to be one of the most important elements that you're going to work on any website project because nowadays responsiveness is essential. And we already explored the fact that if you click on tablet or mobile landscape or mobile portrait, you can go to those dedicated views. But now we're going to talk about this in more detail. And the very first thing is how Webflow works is if you have the desktop version activated or selected, you can see that at the moment this header is 64 pixels. But if we go on the tablet version and I adjust this to be 45 pixels, this is going to essentially affect that specific breakpoint compared to the others. So this is something that you want to keep in mind overall, and also the principle of cascading style sheets. That is how CSS works. So I highly recommend you to check out at least the very basics of CSS in order to understand how cascading styles affect each other. Because if, for example, I go on the tablet version and I make this text red, you're going to notice that the text is not going to be red in the desktop version. But if I go down to the mobile landscape and mobile portrait, the text is still going to be red. And the reason being is that the cascade works from the responsive breakpoint that you selected all the way to the smaller breakpoints, so it won't affect anything above. Now let's talk about the actual responsive menu. So the way it works is you have this breakpoint which is set at 16, 40, 40 pixels. But if I click on this element right here, you can see how now I have all sorts of different options available for setting up the canvas. So I could actually set this up at 1700 pixels, and that is going to reflect in the scale. And I can also show the element edges, show the empty elements or not. And one of the most useful modes is going to be the X-ray mode, because it's going to allow you to essentially see all of the different divs, containers, sections, which are all going to be elements that we're going to talk about in just a second. So this video is going to be a bit technical, but do not worry, because we're going to a lot of the things that I just mentioned are going to make a lot of sense in just a moment. And you can also set the rulers right here below, so you can always have the rulers available, and you can see also the different breakpoints which can be set, as well as the line guides, which are going to help you understand how the columns are set up within the page. And you can also have the field guide, which is going to be the 960 pixels for both the line and the field guide. So it's exactly the same guide, just with the field or line visualization. And over here there's going to be some more advanced options. These are going to make sense as we talk about accessibility, but over here you're going to be able to see a preview of what for example red-green color blindness looks like when there is one of these deficiencies. And the same is true also for all these other options. So this is more of an accessibility thing. And the same is true also for the text zoom preview. We're not going to go into much details. The only thing that you need to know is that by default it's going to be set, the text multiples are going to be set at 16 pixels, but some users are actually going to either make the zoom out in the sense that it's going to be smaller. Other users are going to basically zoom in their browser, so they're going to have these multiples or simply enlarge the text by default on each and every web page so that it's more legible. So here you're going to be able to basically see a preview of how that text looks like for those specific users. So we're not going to go into much details of that. One other thing that you have to keep in mind for breakpoints, especially if you're working on client projects, is sometimes you're going to be required to have a other larger breakpoint. For example, say that a client is a TV broadcast or a TV software, something that involves users seeing the website on TVs, or you simply want to optimize your website for televisions. You can actually set a larger breakpoint, which is larger than the desktop breakpoint, by simply going over here and click on add large breakpoint. And as you can see, there is this warning, which is you want to create this, you cannot remove the breakpoint from the site once it's created. So this is something that you have to keep in mind at all times, because it's going to require you to double check also the larger breakpoints and basically have this extra layer in place at all times. So keep this in mind. If I create it, you can see that now I have one extra breakpoint, and you can add also these two, so you can make these breakpoints extremely flexible based on all sorts of different scenarios. And as we mentioned previously, you can enlarge these individual breakpoints in order to check and accommodate, for example, what is the breakpoint for different type of mobile phones. In this case, as you can see here on the bottom right, this is the scenario for the iPhone 11, iPhone XS, XR, and if I make it even bigger, you're going to see other devices. So keep this in mind, and overall this is it when it comes to the overview of the responsiveness. But we're going to learn much more, and all of this is going to make so much more sense in future videos. So I just wanted to plant the seed of possibilities, and then we're going to capture them and explore what's possible.